Hi, this is Lady Lex UK and this is a Dreams Gadget tutorial. Today we're doing movers and outputs and we've got as far as the rocket rotator. That's this one here. Looks like a little rocket with a dotted arrow going around it. This is unlike the other moving objects in that it actually doesn't move the object at all unless it's partnered with some movement of the object. So unless the object is moving, this gadget actually doesn't do anything. So bear that in mind when you're using it. Now, before I did this tutorial, I hadn't used this gadget. So everything I've learned to make this tutorial. And the first protocol is the inbuilt tutorial that you get when you hover over the gadget. Now, those of you who are not aware, when you hover over any gadget or button in Dreams, the little tutorial comes up, a little demonstration, a little description of what the gadget does, and a little tutorial to demonstrate the gadget in action. And so I went through that and I did their tutorial, and to be honest, I wasn't really clear what was going on. I think the tutorial was a little confusing, but I'll do the tutorial and then we'll scrap it and start again, and hopefully I can demonstrate it a little clearer. So let's start off with what they've asked us to do. So we're going to go into sculpt mode and I'm going to stamp down a cone. What they don't ask us to do, they don't ask us to do two cones and do them both at the same time. They ask us to do it one after the other, which makes it even more difficult to see what is going on. So I'm going to actually do two cones, one with a rocket rotator and one without, and I think it's going to be easier to demonstrate the differences between the two. Right, we're going to need an emitter. So we're going to need two emitters. I'll put those in the world. And we're going to stick a rocket rotator to this cone. So we're going to go to rocket rotator and we're going to take this gizmo, this arrow, and we're going to point it at the pointy part. This is just telling the rocket rotator which way is up. Okay, this is the direction in which it's going to face. And then it said put the rotation strength up to 100. Okay, so I've done that. And I'm going to emit that, and it says 0.5 seconds between emits. There we go. I've done that. Same with this one. And we're going to emit this cone. We then need to change the angle of the emitter to 45 degrees, which is sort of that. So we'll change that 45 degrees. There we go. Okay. And it's almost impossible to see what is going on. I don't know about you. I'm not clear. So let's stop that. Let's highlight both of these emitters. Let's get it so that they are destroyed a bit. Let's slow it down a tad. Right, that's a bit better. We can sort of see. So this one, as you can see, it emits and it stays upright for the entire journey. Up it goes, like so. And our one with our rocket rotator on emits upright and then topples over. I don't think this is a very clear demonstration of the rocket rotator at all. I think this is actually rather difficult to see what's going on. Let's speed it up a bit. So the emit speed, so that it goes further. Can we see now? Is it clearer? I don't think that's clearer at all. But that's the tutorial they give you. And I'm not impressed with that. So let's do my tutorial. Okay, so here we have our cone, and it doesn't have to be a cone; it can be anything. But Or you're going to use a cone. I'm going to stick a mover on it. And I'm going to set that mover to that angle. So now when that moves, you can see that's moving up like that. And it stays upright through the entire move. Now we're going to put a rocket rotator on the cone. I'm going to point that. That's the up. You've got to make sure that's up. Probably a really good idea would be to put grid snap on, and then you definitely get the vertical, but then don't forget to turn it back off again. Okay, so I've told the rotator this is your up, and it's going to move diagonally that way. So let's see what happens when we do this. As you can see, it is turning in the direction that it's moving in, but slowly. So as with the other movers, we need to put these up. We can put this up to 100 and see what that does. You get that wobble. See that wobble? So let's put the damping up. There we go. So we put both of them up, and immediately, there we go, it's pointing in the correct direction. It's taking quite a long time to turn though. Let's see what changing the speed does. A bit quicker. There we go. So I think that's a better demonstration of the rocket rotator and what it does. It points your object in the direction that it's moving, and it points it in the direction that you've chosen its up value to be. So if I was to change this gizmo like so, there you are. The arrow is pointing, it turns the object to point. So this is the important part, which direction this arrow is facing, and then it will rotate your object and point it in the direction that it's moving. And that's basically it. Now you've got stay upright. And I'm really not sure what that's about. It's added a Y coordinate to the gizmo. But it's still pointing the thing in the direction of the arrow, so and if you wanted it to stay upright, then you wouldn't have put a rocket rotator on there in the first place. So this is a bit of a strange one for me. I'm not quite sure the purpose of that, but there you are. Damping specifics, you can change the strength of each of the axes. So it won't, again, this is a bit of a weird one. You can get interesting effects by doing it, but I don't really understand why you would. There we go. If you wanted it to face that way, and you would just move the gizmo that way. So again, all of the movement gadgets have these, so it's a standard thing. So they're not necessarily relevant to the gadget that you're using, but I mean, you could use it because you can change these. You can change the movement during the game by changing them dynamically, while this gizmo here, this arrow, cannot be changed dynamically during the game. So that is why these are useful, because this effectively changes the angle of this. By moving these around, you're effectively changing that angle. It's very hard to demonstrate, but you can change them dynamically because you've got an input socket here. And there's your affected object. wire, so that you don't have to have your rocket rotator on the object snapped to it. You can snap to it with a wire. So that's it. That's the rocket rotator. That's what it does. So have a bit of fun with that. It gives you a little bit more versatility with your movement gadget. Thanks for watching. Hope it was useful, and I'll catch you in your dreams.